You are the only thing worth working on every single day. Okay, your whole life stems from you, so keep working on yourself. Now, I create breaks for myself where I just tune everything out. I go dark room, no snacks, no stimulation, nothing. And that just allows me to sit and it allows me to recalibrate myself. Okay, that's what I do. All right. Work to surprise yourself with what you achieve. It is the best feeling to feel incredibly strong and in shape and your best, and you want to do that. You want to impress yourself, surprise yourself, okay? It's like a little, it's like finding something that you finally feel like you deserve, okay? Maybe that's just me personally, but it is the best feeling that you can have when you achieve something that is genuinely difficult, that other people find hard to fathom or hard to achieve, okay? Next. Don't act on short-term pleasure if you are certain of the long-term detriment, okay? You want to get rid of all the things that have this long-term detriment, because what they're going to do is they're going to drag you down. They're going to drag you into a hole. And so when you get dragged into this hole, or you feel yourself getting dragged into the hole, you have to put the brakes on and you have to stop all of that. Okay, so don't allow short-term little pleasures and stuff to ruin your entire life long-term. Okay, don't let that happen. That is the biggest thing, that is the worst thing that you can possibly do, is do stuff which leads to long-term detriment. Next, firmly stand behind what you choose. If you decide, force yourself to remember your decision and comply with it. Don't let it slip, ever, okay? If you ever let your own decision making slip, what's gonna happen is that other people are gonna make decisions for you, okay? And when they do that, then they're gonna start to get their hooks in, and then they're gonna start to influence you however they want, and then you're not in control of your life, okay? Hold the control of your life, all right? Hold the line on your life, your decisions. Comply with yourself, don't comply with other people. Okay? Make decisions. Let them influence you, but notice it and then say, I'm making my own decisions. Next, look at your life and see more of the direction and the result. Don't pay as much attention to the difficulty, because difficulty is built in. When you look at life, life has results, okay? And then we kind of figure out, how do we get to this result? We see other people who have a result, or we just see a result in the future, all right? But the difficulty is already built in. So just decide what you want and go get it, and ignore the difficulty, because it's there no matter what path you take, all right? You might have to, it might suck going down every single path in front of you, but you got to choose some sort of difficulty. All right, so choose the difficulty that you want to endure to get the result that you want. Next, there is the pain of doing something, and there is the pain of regret. The feeling of regret is way worse than the feeling of pain. Flashback to a time that you felt regret and feel just how bad it is. You might even feel regret right now. Okay, think of something that you regret doing right now. That feeling is so bad, okay? And now imagine that you just did the work, and that all that work is now in the past, and you have the result. So now you can just throw that regret, that feeling, that gross regret feeling out of the window, and you can just say, I have the result now, okay? So next time when you're thinking about, I want to quit, or I want to stop doing something, just know that you're probably going to regret it in the future, and that price is usually higher than the pain. So choose wisely. Next, find something that inspires you more than just the output. Okay? So when you think about an output, a result, or whether it's getting in shape or going out and doing something big, okay? What you want to do is you don't want to attach to the feeling, the output of it, the existence of the result. What you want to do is you want to say, there's something deeper inside. There is something that motivates me more. There's something that I feel passionate about more than just that result. because the result will keep you going until you get it. And then you slump off. What you want is you want to find that there is a result there, and then you want to find a passion that takes you further and higher so you never stop. Okay? Next, fall in love with good experiences in life, not the bad ones. Fall for true love. Fall for friends. Okay? And avoid the experiences that you know are cope because you don't have those things. Hold out for those things. Hold out for the things that feel so good, that you know are going to feel so good in the future, that you just don't have now. And when you do that, when you hold out for it, you become more deserving of the things that are cope. Okay? Next. Keep a perfect record of good neurotransmitters from good experiences. Okay? You want to find the things that are really good for your life, in the better that you can bank those, that you can put them in your treasure chest, that you can put all those good experiences in there, the better that your life's going to be. Because when you get more good things, you're just going to put more good stuff in the treasure chest. Okay? Don't allow this treasure chest to be filled with bad experiences, bad neurotransmitters, okay? Bad dopamine experiences. You don't want that. You want good stuff, okay? So align yourself with the good stuff. And if you mess one up, if you mess up one really, really bad neurotransmitter, like you start doing some sort of really bad drugs or something, what that's going to do is that's going to mess up your whole life, okay? So don't go towards the bad neurotransmitters just because they feel good and whatever. No. Align with the good stuff and put the good experiences in your treasure chest, all right? Friends, family, going out and enjoying your life in a safe, good way, whatever, all right? Just good experiences in the treasure chest. Avoid the bad ones. Next, the ultimate skill that you can have is adaptation. Okay, if we think about, if we go way back, or if we go back just, a little bit, what's going to happen is there are animals and whatever who had to adapt. We had to adapt. As cavemen, we had to get better. We had to figure out, sticks, fire, whatever, okay? And so our ability to get better as humans is based on adaptation, adapting to our environment, overcoming challenges, okay? So the best thing that you can do is work on your own adaptation so that you can become stronger, so that you can evolve quicker, okay? Focus on your adaptation. Don't let someone else teach you what happiness or satisfaction looks like, okay? A lot of them are dopamine dorks, okay? A lot of people will try to teach you, oh, dude, let's go out, let's go partying, or whatever. And what they're doing is they're extracting little bits of dopamine from activities that are not important, okay? And I'm not saying don't go out and do these once in a while, of course, and you also get the experience from doing some of these things. But what they're trying to do sometimes is they're trying to teach you that this is happiness, that this is the way to live, okay? Don't sit there and chase happiness like this. What you want to do is you want to determine, what does happiness look like for me? What does satisfaction look like for me? Is that going out and achieving the goals and dreams of my life? Or is that running around and partying 4 or 5 days a week with people who aren't very successful, okay? And that's a life choice. Whatever makes you happy, whatever satisfies you is what you should do. Next, prioritize your life. List the top 3 things to your life and make sure that you are progressing in all of them, okay? So prioritize. You want to say, okay, I'm focused on this, this, and this right now. And what am I doing in these areas to progress my life? Okay, just make a list. Okay, what are the 3 most important things in my life that I can do or that I am doing? Okay, prioritize and then execute on those. Next, label things carefully to describe, and this allows you to describe the world accurately. This is so important because when we put labels on things, then we can start to choose, how we see certain things, okay? So I need to know what everything is in order to figure out what reality is. So if I have to label a chair or a desk, I have to be able to label that clearly. And if I can't label that clearly, that's going to mess me up. So make sure you're labeling things clearly, because if you can't label something, you can't, see if it's a problem. You can't find the solution. You can't do anything with it. Okay? It's important. Most of us, we have that kind of figured out through, schooling and whatever it is. But make sure you can label the problem clearly, or otherwise you can't solve it. Next, always try to be a solutionist. If you don't know what to do, take the blame and start working on a solution. Okay? So take control. Take action on it. When you take the blame, you take the ownership of the situation, and then you can start making moves. You can start saying, okay, look, that was my fault, and now I can start going over here. I can start going over here. And what's going to happen is that the problem's going to get resolved a lot quicker. Okay? And look, some problems get resolved super quickly. Sometimes they get resolved in 20 minutes or a day or 2 days or whatever. Meanwhile, other companies or whatever it is, they're sitting there gossiping, trying to figure out who's to blame, this and that, whatever. And what's happening there is that it's overriding their ability to solve a problem and come up with a solution. Next, shut up and listen to everything everyone has to say. You can't learn anything if you're the one talking. And look, if they're wrong, you'll know. If they're right, you'll learn. If you just listen to people, what's going to happen is that you're going to become more intelligent. You're going to get smarter. You're going to get better. You don't always have to be the one talking. In fact, it's more often than not, it's actually helpful to be the one who stays quiet. Because what you're able to do when you're quiet is you can learn, you can observe, and you can become better. Okay? Next. The train keeps going, and we never stop getting better. Okay? So in order to get better, we got to learn, and then we got to go execute on it. That's what's happening. That is the train. So if we got to stop talking in order to learn, that's what we're doing. Okay? So we're doing things constantly so that we never stop getting better. Next, overcome the mental barrier. Find a situation where your mind puts up a roadblock and it tries to tell you to stop. Then you got to knock the wall down. Okay? So if I'm going and I'm working out at the gym, my mind is going to start telling me stuff. And that stuff that it's telling me is the mental barrier. Okay? And I got to break through the mental barrier. I can't let that stuff override my life. I can't let it get in the way. I have to be able to break through the mental barrier, persevere straight through it, okay? Because you don't want that mental barrier it's like a limiter. You don't want something to limit you or limit your ability, okay? Make sure you break through the mental barrier. Next, build your skills. Building your skills is better than removing your weaknesses, okay? Because when you build your skills, you can outwork any weakness that you have, okay? You want a positivity infestation. And so when you're constantly building your skills, they're all positives, 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 okay? So if I work on that 8 hours a day, positivity infestation, even if I had an hour of just weakness, that's a 9-to-1 ratio, okay? I'll take that. That strength that I get from building those skills is going to outlast that weakness. Next, strategic skill amplification will at least double your life. So, what is strategic skill amplification? This is the ability to pick out what certain things that you constantly have going on in your life and where you can find skills that will boost who you are. So, if your hand-eye coordination is something that you use every single day, which it is, how much of your life, is based on that, right? How much of your life is based on hand-eye coordination? Well, if you're a football player, it's 90% of your life, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to build that skill, okay? For someone who, is a librarian, it might not be as much. Okay, so for your job or for your livelihood or just your day-to-day life, find what skills that you can amplify, okay? Communication is a big one. Look, you gotta communicate in every single sector of life, okay? So if you build that skill, you are amplifying your life in almost every single sector, right? So build your own ability. Amplify the skills that matter most to your life, and your life might even 2x, okay? Next, mental capability is the most important thing that you can work on. Even when you have nothing to do, you can still work on your mind. Even when you're waiting in the DMV, even when you're sitting there not doing anything, okay? The best thing you can do is work on your mind. Your mind is so important. It's so important to you. It's so important to your future, okay? And you can sit there and you can build up that voice, that incredible voice in your head to become stronger, to become better, okay? Because you want a stronger and better life, and your mind will reflect your life.